mom smoked 3 packs of cigarettes a day, and she drank about 6 pots of coffee a day. She died at age 75. She would have lived like my grandmother to be 103 if she hadn't done that. I held her head in my hands on that hospice gurney in her front room as she took her last breath. That changes you. My dad died after that. He had had cancer 16 years before he died in one of his kidneys. They took his kidney out, and then over time, it moved to the other kidney. Of course, they had him on 24 different drugs the year before he died. We got him down to 12, but the doctors and my dad would not go any lower. 24 drugs down to 12. He was taking 3 drugs for constipation alone. What's that about? I was in my dad's bedroom at 4:02 in the morning. We knew he was dying. We knew he was close. And I watched his chest heave for the last time. So I watched both my mother and my father die. Some of you may have a similar story. That changes you. It makes you want to know why. And I started studying years and years prior to that. I mean, in college I took all the ologies, the biologies, the kinesiologies, the anatomy and physiology, and I really studied the human body. And I put things to work. I was an athlete then, became a marathon runner. And you gotta know how to eat. You gotta know what fuels the body. You gotta know what is food and what is junk. Now, I'm not here to tell you I've never had any junk food. You send me some over tonight, John? No, just kidding. Occasionally we all fall off the wagon, don't we? Just gotta get back on. Gotta get back on. And we're gonna talk about the things that work today. And you need to know in that book, I'm telling you about what works as far as food is concerned. Many people will say, there's nothing I can eat. Which isn't true, but it seems like that. I mean, when you can't get your Kentucky Fried Chicken and a Big Mac anymore, or a milkshake, or a Coca-Cola, it's like the end of the world for some. And I get it. Foods are engineered today to taste good. Our taste buds are different than they used to be. When I was a kid, I'd eat a raw carrot for a treat because my taste buds actually thought that was good. We don't do that today. We eat Twinkies and cupcakes and pie and cake because they're full of canola oil and high fructose corn syrup and all those things that are bad for us and MSG, but they taste good. Anyway, all of that's in the book, and there are tons and tons of websites that deal with diet and what you can eat. To finish Dave's story, the doctor had given him 16 to 18 months if he did the chemo. And of course, he did not even last 6 months. Once he got on that chemo protocol, it took him down so fast that he was dead in no time at all. Think about this for a minute. This is important. What sense does it make to you, or to a thinking person, that we take a disease that is caused by the different forms of chemicals and radiation, and we treat it with chemicals and radiation? It doesn't make any sense at all. And it's proven every day in our hospitals when cancer patients die, because doctors have that empty toolbox with only those few things in it. The things that will not help the cancer patient. And in fact, now the statistics show us that people are dying faster and more from the treatments than they are from the cancer. As a matter of fact, the statistics show us if a cancer patient does absolutely nothing, they live longer than those who undergo chemo and radiation. 97% of people undergoing chemo are dead in 5 years. Give that a thought. $14,800,000. Anybody have any idea what the importance of that number is? 14,800,000. Well, back in 1971, President then Richard Milhouse Nixon in the United States declared war on cancer. He says, we're going to throw as much money as we possibly can behind this, and we're going to have a cure in 5 years. Let's see, that was 1971. What's that, 47 years ago? How are we doing with that in conventional medicine? Not too good. We're told by the American Cancer Society, just give us 1 more year. Just give us 2 more years. We've got this new immunotherapy. We've got these new drugs. And we will have the cure. Oh, and give us $100 billion more. That 14,800,000 number is the number of people that have died of cancer since Richard Nixon declared war on cancer. In the United States, we got a severe problem. I'm here to tell you, I don't know if you have it in Malaysia. We put all our faith in doctors, every ounce of it. We vaccinate our children. I'm not going to go deep in the weeds on vaccinations today. But, gee, when I got the measles and the mumps and the chicken pox, I didn't die. As a matter of fact, they made me immune from that point on. And today, we've got 7 or 8 kids this past year that died of measles. For some reason, it's generally not the measles, it's because they've got other issues, just like the elderly people, like me, who get flu shots. They've got other issues, and when someone dies of the flu, it's because they're sick already. We don't need all of these vaccinations. We don't need all of these things that the doctors think we need. What we need is to do the right things. And we're going to tell you in the second session today what these right things are so that you can know. And I urge you to get the book. I was delighted to see some people were buying 2 and 3 and 4 or 5 books. And I wrote the book, but I signed the book over to the American Anti-Cancer Institute so we could reap the funding for this 501c3 nonprofit. So I'm not asking you to buy books so I can be enriched. I'm asking you, first of all, to get books and get them to your friends and family too, so they can know the solution to this cancer deal. And not only cancer. We're going to talk about the protocol today, the 5-step protocol. If you've got cancer, if you've got heart disease, if you've got diabetes, if you've got autoimmune disease, if you've got neurodegenerative disease, do this. So when you pick up that book and read it, and you say, well, I've got type 2 adult onset diabetes, Bob. What am I supposed to do? Do what's in the book. There are some caveats. Type 2 diabetes is a curse upon mankind because we go to the doctor. Let me tell you what happens to a diabetic. Not treated correctly, and if you're going to see your doctor, you're not being treated correctly, you're going to poke your finger, 1, 5, 10, 20 times a day. You're going to draw blood. You're going to test it for the sugar level. You're going to take insulin. You're going to take metformin. You're going to take something else. Eventually what happens? You get neuropathy in your legs. You have a little toe amputated, and then a foot amputated, and then a leg amputated. Your vision starts to go away, and then you die of stroke or heart attack. That's diabetes. You'll last a lot longer than a cancer patient will. But that's not living. I ask God, let me live as many years as you want, but give me a quality of life. You want to live to be 100 and be in a wheelchair the last 30, 40 years? You want a quality of life. You're not going to get a quality of life by following modern medicine. I can say that unequivocally. I'll tell it to any doctor. I'll look him in the eye and tell him that. And inherently, that doctor knows it. So whether it's any of those things, we're working with people with neurodegenerative diseases today. And those are like Parkinson's, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, which is Lou Gehrig's disease. All of these types of things that have a solution that is far better than being a guinea pig and having them pump you full of more drugs. One of the most tragic things I hear is someone who comes back after a cancer diagnosis and says, well, the doctor said it's good news. Yeah, I've got real bad cancer, but he told me that they've got a real good chemotherapy. And the good news is if that doesn't work, he's got another one right behind it. And if that doesn't work, he's got another one right behind it. Boy, that'd be bad news to me. I don't want any drugs in my body if I can avoid it. We do need drugs at times, we know that. I mean, again, if I get in that traffic accident and I need major trauma surgery, gee, I kind of like them to put me out first. That takes drugs. So there is a time and a place for drugs, a time and a place for surgery. 90% of surgeries are not needed and unwarranted. And I'm trying hard to think of a case when chemo or radiation is warranted. I'm struggling with that. Some of you may have undergone chemo. I'm glad you're here today. I'm glad you made it here today. Do we have cancer survivors in the crowd today? Yeah. You don't have to raise your hand. I don't want to embarrass anyone. How do we get cancer? Those of you who know about a special kind of water, which we'll talk about in the third session, know about acidity and alkalinity and inflammation. Inflammation drives every form of sickness. Why do they give you steroids when you're sick? Inflammation. It drives everything. Inflammation. How do you get it? Your body becomes acid. Is our body supposed to be acid? No. How are we born? We're born slightly alkaline. Anyone ever smell a newborn baby? Smells good. Anybody ever go into an old folks home and smell it? Smells bad. Acid. We spend our lives acidifying our bodies. And how do we do that? Well, we eat all the wrong things. We eat acidic foods. We drink acidic water and acidic drinks, like soda pops, which are all the way just slightly above stomach acid on the pH scale. So we also have chemicals in our air, chemicals in our dishwashing soap, in our water. Is your water fluoridated and chlorinated? And inflammation drives cancer and every other type of sickness and disease. The good news is we can change that. We can change that. Do you believe it? And we can do it every day. Again, we're going to talk about that in session 3. But it's important to know what drives the cancer. Is cancer genetic? Yes or no? No. But you know, if you were all oncologists, 850 cancer doctors out here, and I was standing in front of you, and I was going to give a speech today, and the first line that I said was, cancer is not genetic, you would all get up and walk out on me. Doctors think cancer is genetic. It's their first mistake. They don't understand. Cancer is not genetic, it's epigenetic. Now, what is that? We know that genetics is the blueprint for our body, right? It's how we're made. That's how we're hardwired. It's the hardware of our body, the computer of our body. So if the genetics is the hardware, what is the software? Epigenetics. Because you need good software to run the hardware, right? Epigenetics is the sum total of all of the interactions that take place in your body, all the chemical reactions that take place. all the hormonal pathways and interactions, the enzymatic pathways and interaction, the detoxification pathways and interactions, all of the stuff, the physiology of your body is the epigenetics. Is the computer going to run if it's got very poor software? It's not going to work or not work well. Folks, you've heard this said before, that we take better care of our cars than we do our bodies. And we don't take very good care of our cars. It's a tragic thing, but it is true. So epigenetics is what we need to look at in order to heal the body, because it breaks down. It's the acidification and the inflammation of the body because of what we eat, what we drink, what we put on and in our bodies that causes us to fail and our bodies to fail. Many people, or most people who undergo chemotherapy and radiation and standard protocols don't fare quite so well. And these are facts, folks. I'm going to go over 4 things, the 4 steps, and we're going to save that other step till the 3rd session because it's critically important and we want to spend just a little bit more time on it. It's actually probably the most important thing you can do if you have cancer or any other chronic sickness or disease. We'll save that for the next session. Can you hear me okay with this one on? Al Dosh. What a guy. Al Dosh is a sheep shearer. You know what a sheep shearer is? The guy who picks up the sheep and flips them over and shears all the wool off. He's a sheep shearer in South Dakota, in the United States. Al injured his leg. Went to the doctor. Doctor said, your leg's going to be fine. We said, okay. So he went back to work. And he worked and worked, and his leg, his left knee got worse and worse and worse. And he just couldn't figure it out. And then, before he stopped working, he injured his other knee. And so he went to the doctor for that knee, and the doctor says, well, let's take all the x-rays and everything, and let's have a look at it. And he said, since you injured the other knee, let's look at that one too. So they did. And he says, well, I've got good news and bad news. The leg that you just injured, it's going to be fine. Just give it some time to heal. But the one you had injured previously has cancer all the way from the kneecap maybe God doesn't want me to tell this story. All the way from the kneecap up to the top of his thigh. And he says, that's serious. You might have to have that leg off. And he says, we want to send you up to the Mayo Clinic. The Mayo Clinic is one of the big clinics in the United States. And he started taking this supplement. And we're going to talk about this supplement. But somebody told him, eat this supplement and it will help you tremendously. So he started to do that. And he noticed that the leg was getting better and better. Actually, both legs were getting better and better. He went up to the Mayo Clinic and said, yeah, I'm feeling a little bit better. And the doctors, again, did a bunch of tests, and they said, no, that leg has to come off, and it has to come off right now. You have cancer infiltrating the entire muscle system within your leg and the knee, and it looks pretty bad. What we can understand is that the blood vessels are still growing through and working in that leg. And he says, oh, well, it feels fine. He says, no, we got to get it off. He stormed out of there and said, no, you're not taking my leg. He went home and he took that supplement and he began to just pound it into his body. And about 3 months later, he went back to the doctor. You know what happened? The doctor took all of the x-rays and the tests and he said, something's wrong here. There's no cancer in your leg anymore. And he says, I'm not surprised, my leg feels fine. It was one of those miracles, or at least we think it was a miracle. But you know what he did? You know what the best chemotherapy in the world is? The food you eat, the right food you eat, is the best chemotherapy in the world. And so his cancer was gone. And all he did, all he changed, was that he started to take this supplement, which was so nutritive and just flooded his body with nutrients. It made all the difference in the world for Al Dosh. A couple months later, he was up in the Rocky Mountains at 10,000 feet, hiking and hunting elk. Guy who the doctor says that leg's got to come off, or you might not survive. Knowing the doctors, he wouldn't have survived either way if he'd have done it their way. But I'm trying to make 2 points here. One is that nutrition trumps cancer. And nutrition trumps every kind of sickness and disease, as long as you still have an immune system. It trumps those things. The second point is that it matters what you do. It matters what you eat and what you put in your body with cancer or without cancer. I think we know that now. But Al Dosh, I talked to him and I talked to his wife. And I said, gee, Al, you must have just overwhelmed your body with that nutrition. You must have done everything else right and eaten everything else properly. You must have done everything perfectly. You know, his response to me was, well, no, actually I was eating burgers and fries and drinking milkshakes, and I went, what? And he said, no, really. And his wife chimed in and said, yeah, and he was even drinking beer. I don't recommend you do that. That is the point. Unless you're one of those special people who can get away with that, most people can't. It matters what you eat. When you've got a serious disease or sickness like cancer, you pretty much have to do almost everything right. Everything you do that hurts the protocol is going to hurt you. Everything you do that helps the protocol is going to help destroy that cancer and get it out of your body. So our blood vessels are this wide. And because we eat so much sugar, produce so much insulin, that cholesterol keeps patching and patching and patching until our blood vessels get narrower and narrower, right? Now we have high blood pressure. Now we're in danger of heart attack, right? According to the doctor anyway. It's a big lie, folks. What's your brain made of? Cholesterol. Oh, well, let's stop eating cholesterol. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Statins are about money, period. If you're my age, late 40s, if you're my age and your cholesterol is not at least 200, you're in trouble. Any doctors want to scream at me on that one? We need cholesterol. It's vital to us. I said we shouldn't eat white things, right? White rice has been bleached and blanched. White sugar, bleached and blanched. You go to a sugar plantation, is the sugar cane white? No, it's been processed. White salt. You know, we're told don't eat salt. It raises your blood pressure. It's going to give you a heart attack, right? It's because we eat white salt. White salt is 99.9% sodium chloride because it's been stripped of everything in it that's any good. It's bad for you. So the doctors are right. You're going to eat white salt, then you're going to be in trouble over time. But here's the real truth. We need to eat more salt. Salt is a health food if you're eating the right kind of salt. Full spectrum salt, like a Celtic sea salt, Himalayan, pink Himalayan salt. It has color, folks. Why does it have color? Because it's got all the minerals that it was dug out of the ground with. It has the consistency, the electrolytic consistency of the sea and of your blood. It's only about 82 to 84% sodium chloride, and the rest is all those 82 minerals that you absolutely have to have in your body and in your blood. More salt, not less, but we need the right kind of salt. So diet is fundamental. How am I doing on time? Okay. Diet is fundamental. And I mention these things in the book. Get rid of the sugar, the white sugar. Get rid of it. Eat stevia. There's a product called Just Like Sugar that has chicory and vitamin C in it. Find something that's not in a blue or pink or yellow packet at the restaurant, because those have NutraSweet or saccharin in them, or different names for these artificial sugars. How many know what NutraSweet or aspartame is? It is poison. It should have never been approved in the United States or anywhere in the world. You know why? It's been proven it is what is called an excitoneurotoxin. What an excitoneurotoxin does is that it excites the neurons in your brain to death. Did I point right at my brain here? If you want brain cancer, eat fake sugar. Eat aspartame. And if you don't die of something else first, you will get brain cancer. That's what happens. Have I convinced anyone yet? Maybe I better be a little bit careful about eating that NutraSweet and aspartame. That's one of the reasons we're here. We all need to have better health. And all these things are listed in the book. Chain grocery store, something like that, just stop it. Not only are they not good for you, they could harm you. Most of those are produced by drug companies. They have no redeeming value. We need whole food vitamins, minerals, supplements. They're not hard to find. I get mine from Standard Process. I pour them into my hand and my wife says, "You're taking your vitamins, right?" And I said, "No, I'm eating." In essence, that's what I'm doing, because all of my full spectrum vitamin B, full spectrum vitamin C, D, all of the full spectrum is in that little pill that's been formed from the food they grew organically on their own farms and then pressed into pill form. That's the supplementation that you want. Standard Process does that. They go far beyond what anyone else does. I don't know if anyone else does it exactly like they do. That's what I would recommend. No, I don't sell their products or get any profit on anything. I do take other products, however. One of the best I've seen for cancer and most other sickness and disease is a product from the Relive Company. Actually, they have about 14, 15 different products now. But we have literally thousands and thousands and thousands of testimonials from people who took these products. And most of them, it's the only thing they changed in their life. Like Al Dosh, that's what he took. He pounded the Relive products. They come in a powder in a can. They are all that synergistic nutrition that, because they're in a powder form, they are bioavailable to the human body right away. Fabulous. But I have to tell you something. You know what I would do? I would take those Relive products and I would take the thing I'm going to talk to you about in session 3. I would do those two things. And I have full confidence that I would beat my cancer. Full confidence. I can't tell you they cure cancer, because they do not. I can't say that. Do they help the human immune system? Do they restore the epigenetics of the body? Absolutely, and we can prove that. Actually, one of the products from this company, Relive, that we talk about has been basically certified as an epigenetic product. Restore the epigenetics of the body. It's what we need to do. That's how I would do it. There's a couple products from them that I would take if I had cancer, or if I had about anything else, or if I was healthy. Really, what prevents heals. What heals prevents. Detoxification. in a crowd this size in the US, I don't know about right here, if I asked them, how many of you have done a full body detox in the last year? I probably wouldn't get more than one hand. Really? All the rest of the people would say, what is a full body detox? Because they wouldn't know. And exercise is critically important for those of us who can do it. Many cancer patients are too sick to exercise. And even if you're not too sick to exercise, most people can get on one of those rebounders or mini tramps, you know what those are? And you can just bounce lightly on them. That will move your lymph system. Your lymph system is one of the detox systems within your body. People are not moving their lymph system, so they're all jammed up with crud. It's one of the things behind breast cancer too, because lymph nodes, there's a lot of them under your armpits and in your upper chest here. And it's one of the reasons we have so much breast cancer. And we need to be mindful of that. We need to get the lymph system moving. You can do it by lightly bouncing a couple times a day for 2 or 3 minutes on that rebounder. I like whole body vibration. I have 2 whole body vibration machines. What's that? Oh, bouncing on the rebounder. And the whole body vibration machines are kind of like the PIO for exercise, because it moves every muscle, every ligament, every bone, every cell in your body. It's the most important invention that's been done in recent years, whole body vibration. We hope to have an outlet for that in Malaysia and Southeast Asia soon. Very important. You can do something with that acidic water too. There are many different things with the equipment that produces this water that allows you to produce the high alkaline water in 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4 different pHs, and it allows you to produce slightly acidic water or very acidic water. Now people say, well, if the alkaline water is so good for you, what are you going to do with the acid water? Acid water is bad, right? We talked about that. And as far as drinking it, yeah, you don't want to drink it, because you don't want to drink the soda pop that's 2.5 pH or up to 3 pH either. But water, when it gets to about 2.7 pH, most of you are familiar with the pH scale. 0 to 7 is acid. Above 7 to 14, the top of the scale is alkaline. When water gets below about 2.7, it becomes very therapeutic as far as killing pathogens is concerned, like bacteria and viruses, and many other things. And it becomes kind of antiseptic-like. So if you burned your leg, you know, you could put 2.5 on it, or to prevent the infection from taking charge of your leg. And we've seen this, and we've seen it with flesh-eating bacteria, MRSA, E. coli. It will destroy those things. It's like colloidal silver, or what I call ionic silver. We have an ionic silver we use internally that does the same thing for basically every pathogen known to man. I recommend that someone have a bottle of this in their medicine cabinet all the time, because it's real medicine. It's not like antibiotics and all that other junk that doesn't do you any good. So the water, that's what you would use that water for at that point. But what we're particularly interested in today is the water that has a higher pH, that is alkaline water. Now this water being produced by the machine, it's alkaline, it's hydrating too. And what I mean by that, most of you already know this, is the reason that we drink a lot of water, or we need to, is because what are our bodies? 70-75% water, some say more. We need to hydrate our body. We need it for detoxification. We need to wash out the cells. We need to hydrate the cells in the skin and everything else. Water is life. You can't live, more than about 3 days without any water. You can go 40 days and 40 nights without food if you got a strong constitution. So the hydration is very important. But what many people don't know is if you're going to drink tap water,
First of all, you're going to get chlorine and fluoride, which are the halides we talked about earlier. Folks, those are poisons. What are they doing in your water? Fluoride is effectively rat poison. That's what it's used for. And you know, in the United States, when we have our water fluoridated, when they're bringing this massive truck of fluoride in it, and they're taking it to your municipal water system to dump it in there for some cockamamie reason that makes no sense whatsoever. If they spill, if that truck crashes and spill, it's a hazmat situation. They've got to cordon off the area. They have to put on the white suits, the breathing machines, and go clean it up. And they're putting that in our water? It's the same with dentists and with mercury. You get a filling, a mercury amalgam filling. If they spill that mercury on the floor, it's a hazmat situation. And yet they have no problem putting it in your tooth as a filling, and it is going to poison you every day for the rest of your life. What happens in your mouth is directly responsible for many, many cancers today. And those fillings, those back fillings too, when you have a root canal, and they put the medicine in it first, and then they fill it after you've had the nerves removed in there. That thing is going to leach poison in those microtubules that there are millions of for the rest of your living days, and it's going to cut short those living days. So fluoride and chlorine are poisons, and yet we have no problem drinking chlorinated water and fluoridated water, showering in it. You take a 15-minute shower in chlorinated water, it's like you just drank 8 glasses of chlorinated water. You need a filter. You need a water filter. Am I making you mad yet? Hydration is what I was talking about, and it's important because that bottled water, that tap water is not going to do it for you. Many studies have been done. The average that your body is actually going to receive and accept and get into the cells is probably only 17 to 20% of that water, because the molecules glom together and stick together and they're just too big. You know, how many here have ever played golf? Maybe a few of you, maybe you watch it on TV. The golf ball's about that big, isn't it? And they want to golf it into a hole about that big. Not the huge 15, 20, 30 glom molecules of water that you get in tap water, that you get in bottled water, because it's not going to hydrate you. It's amazing, you can drink a ton of bottled water and still be dehydrated. How does that work? That's where this water is special, and it hydrates you. And if you don't believe it, drink a lot of it and join the rest of us in the bathroom every 20 minutes. It hydrates you and moves through your system. Something that's critically important. So we've got water that's high alkaline, which, remember, we decided that we need to be alkaline in our body. Our blood needs to be 7.38 or somewhere around there, 7.4. If it's not, if it goes down slightly, you're going to die, folks. So your blood will rob alkalinity from anywhere in your body to keep you alive. But the problem is the rest of our terrain becomes acidic. Seeing cancer patients whose pH measurement for their tissues and their fluids is down below 7, down below 6 into the 5 sometimes. You're in danger when that happens. So we need to bring that pH up. And we need to produce that negative charge into the body. Now, the best way to raise the pH in a human body used to be by eating an organic vegan diet. Because we all know vegetables are good for us, right? But vegetables also have a higher pH. So they help us to raise the pH of our body, which we need to do. I mean, vegans, organic vegans, figured that out a long time ago. That used to be the best way to raise the pH in a human body. It's not anymore. It's the second best way. What's the best way? Tongue and water. It absolutely is. And if you're struggling, let me tell you what I added to the 3rd edition of the book. I added the part in chapter 6 about healing is voltage. Dr. Jerry Tennant did a lot of studies on that. He wrote a couple books about healing is voltage. pH is directly related to voltage in the body. Your cells need to run at minus 25 to minus 50 millivolts to be healthy. The problem is, most of us, if we're not Kangen water drinkers, our cells are running, and especially if we have cancer, at below that. And so our cells will struggle to heal because they don't have the voltage and they don't have the nutrition added to that to allow us to heal. So, if you take green tea at minus, what's green tea? Minus 50, minus 100, somewhere in there, and vitamin C is the same thing. We know these as antioxidants, right? We know these as being good for us. And yet they're minus 50 millivolts, minus 100 millivolts. That's great. That's fabulous. If you can take, 50 grams of vitamin C a day, which you can't orally, you can do it intravenously, or you can drink 144 cups of green tea a day, you're going in the right direction. It takes 744,000 8-ounce glasses of orange juice to equal the antioxidant capacity of one 12-ounce glass of 9.5 pH water. Wow. Imagine that. That is a lot. We need to get that cell voltage up. The best way in the world to do it now is by drinking Kangen water. Because Kangen water, typically and based on the source of your water, will run about minus 300, minus 350 millivolts. We've seen it all the way to minus 900 millivolts. Is that going to raise the voltage in the cell, the negative voltage? Better than anything in the world. Anything. Period. And that's what healing is about. You're raising that cell voltage back to where it needs to be as rapidly as possible. And then you're doing the rest of these protocols, dumping that good nutrition into the cell, detoxing the cell, hydrating the cell. And what happens? Research and science and practical application tells us that the body starts to heal itself. Does the water heal anyone? No. And we never, ever say that, nor should anyone. Although Louise Beans may argue with me on that. Louise was a gal in her 70s. She went to her chiropractor and was having an adjustment. The chiropractor asked her how she was doing. She said, "Doc, this will be my last visit to you. I've got end-stage lung cancer. I'll be dead in 90 days. That's all they've given me." He said, "I wish you told me sooner." She says, "Why?" He says, "I want you to try drinking this water." She says, "Okay." So she started getting the 9.5 pH water. And she asked him, she said, "Doc, you got anything more powerful than that?" You know where I'm going. And he says, "Yeah, we have 11.5, but no one suggests that you drink that. The company does not recommend it. In fact, they recommend you do not drink it." I'm kind of independent, so I can say it. I don't sell Kangen water machines, but it is my highest recommendation for cancer patients. Louise said to the doctor, "Heck, what have I got to lose? I got 90 days to live. Give me that water." So he did, and she bought a machine. In 120 days, she was still alive. It's a miracle. The doctor said she would be dead. She was supposed to be dead in 90 days. How is she alive? By drinking water? How does that work? Science. Don't let anyone tell you differently. It's not just water. And I get that all the time. Because I preach about this. And people say, well, okay, yeah, I know I need to hydrate. I'll drink some water, but where's the pill again? Where's the pill? I said, you're missing the point. Because you don't know the research, you don't know the science that lies behind this. You raise that voltage, that cell voltage, you hydrate the body, you pour in the alkalinity to re-alkalinize the body. It makes just a tremendous difference. Louise Beans found that out. 120 days, no cancer in her body. And I would tell Louise, well, that water didn't heal you. And she'd probably punch me in the face and say, yes, it did. But the fact is that what happened was her epigenetic systems and her immune systems were regenerated and healed. So nobody can say that that water or any water heals anything. And I always caution, especially Enagic distributors, don't do that. First of all, you don't need to do that. You got a product that no one can match. Everybody wants to sell a water machine today. There's 20, 30, 40 different companies, maybe even more now. And I checked on almost all of them back at that time. And I asked them all kinds of questions about their equipment. But you know what the most important question was to me, getting an answer for, was how long does the ORP last? I'm going to explain that. Alkalinity, we know, you can do a little research and you know it will last for a while. You know that the hydration will last for a while. Before the glomming takes over of the molecules. But the ORP, which is, for those of you who don't know, is called the oxidation reduction potential. That's that antioxidant capacity. Millions and billions of antioxidants. Is it good to put those in your body? Here's a little side note first. If you drink a 12-ounce soda pop, like say a Coca-Cola in a can, you're going to need to drink about 32 12-ounce glasses of 9.5 Kangen water to neutralize that one soda. ORP, oxidation reduction potential. To me, even though I love the alkalinity and know how important it is, I love the hydration, I know how important it is, it's the ORP that I needed to know about. Because I saw people giving away a gallon of water in a milk jug to someone so that they could try it. So I thought, well, I understand the ORP, and I understand when it comes off the machine, I can relate the voltage and the millivoltage. I know all of this, but how long does that last? And I called company after company, and no one would answer me. They'd try and change the subject. And it got frustrating for me, until finally one guy was fed up with me. And he says, it doesn't last. It's gone in less than 24 hours. Now leave me alone. Thank you. As I had anticipated, and this is based on the equipment, and it's why I call the Enagic equipment the Rolls-Royce of the water industry. I don't make a profit. The Enagic company pays me nothing to say what I say, nor would I take anything. I have to be independent. I will choose the best thing. And I said, if anybody produces a water machine that does what theirs does or more, I'll promote that one too. No one's answered that challenge yet. I don't know if they ever will. So I promote this equipment because of these things we just talked about, and that ORP being to me the most important one. But because we need that active hydrogen, we need that active oxygen, we need that negative charge for our body to stay well and to heal. So don't think you just have to be sick to have this technology in your home. But I tested the ORP on a Kangen water machine after I discovered that all the others are evaporating in less than 24 hours. What good is it if you've got ionized water that after or less than 24 hours has gone from minus 400 to plus 10? That's not going to do you any good. So, by that time, obviously, I had an Enagic water system on my counter, an SD501 actually. I poured a gallon of the water. I poured it into a new, fresh, clean gallon milk jug, and filled it all the way to the top, put a lid on it immediately so there was no air inside of it. Because air, heat, and light and motion are things that will affect this water. And I carefully moved it over to a cool spot on my floor and covered it with a dark towel. And I left it there. I don't remember exactly how long, but it was at least 5 days. And I said, no way, it's going to be, plus 100, plus 200. After that time, I put it up on the counter and opened it up. And I stuck the ORP meter to it. And guess what? It's a miracle. Still minus 100. Wow. Charge, and it did because of the manufactured properties of this equipment. And that's why I call it the Rolls Royce, because it holds its properties based upon, and I don't expect everybody who doesn't know these machines out here to understand this, but talk to someone out here, they'll tell you, because of how the plates are made and how the plates are plated, and because of the power, you need a lot of power. You need a lot of surface area on these plates for the ionization process to take place. You need minerals in your water, of course. You cannot ionize distilled water. All the doctors want to argue with me and say distilled water is the best. Reverse osmosis water is the best. I said, well, they're pure water because you have taken everything out of them, but it's dead water. It has nothing in it. There are no minerals. And some people will say, well, I just add back my minerals. We've heard people with RO systems say that. I did a little study on that because I wanted to know about it. You know, me. And I discovered that there's a good possibility if you're adding minerals back to your water that is dead, that because of the nature of the water, of how you've made it, distilled or RO'd it, that the minerals are kind of inactive in the water. So there is some evidence that shows they may be just sitting in your body somewhere and collecting, whether they're in your veins or somewhere else. Minerals there don't do you any good. So I'm not a fan of those waters. If I was out in the desert and hadn't drunk anything for 3 days and someone said, the only thing I got is distilled water, of course I'd drink it. I'd probably even drink tap water then. Maybe even vinegar, who knows? One has to hydrate. I've talked to a lot of Kangen water groups, and I tell people, because of the research that I've done and the science that I've discovered, all the way from alkalinity, all the way to hydration, and then beyond to the voltage and the oxidation reduction potential, the antioxidants, that ORP, the nature of this water makes it one of the greatest things that a human being can put in their body, period. I really mean that. Again, nobody's paying me to say that. No one. John didn't pay to have me come out here and say, say all the glowing things you can about Kangen water, because I would do it anyway. John and June. Can't leave June out here, or anyone else in this front row. Thank you. I do this because it's the right thing to do. I recommend it. I recommend it because it's the right thing to do. I recommend it for cancer patients, for anyone who is ill, for anyone who is well. You want to stay well. What heals prevents, and what prevents heals. So this is a very important thing, and we saved it for last because you need to know about this. You need to know how it works. I go more in depth in the book. But you are armed, if you are one of the Kangen water people here, whether you're just drinking it or you're marketing these machines, you need to be able to tell people the science behind this water. And it's not hard. You can do it in 5 minutes if you wanted to encapsulate it and then they can study it after that. And the fact is that it works, and it works very well, and it works for these reasons we just talked about. And of course, doctors are trying to convince people now, oh, you can't drink all that high pH stuff because it neutralizes your stomach acid and it's going to foul you all up inside, right? Have you heard that? That's a bunch of baloney. Ask Mr. Oshiro, who's been drinking it for over 40 years. He looks pretty good to me. No stomach acid problems. Stomach acid problems. Okay, I got to tell you another one. We are in a world now where people are struggling and suffering with acid reflux disease, right? Why? Doctors tell them you have too much acid, overactive acid in your stomach. GERD is what they call it. And we have to give you these proton pump inhibitors like Prilosec and Prevacid and Tums and Rolaids and Nexium. I mean, they're making billions and billions of dollars on those. And I can show you how to take care of that for about 10 bucks. You start taking those proton pump inhibitors, your life begins to end. And people don't understand that. They will break your bones. They will cause every bad thing you can imagine over time to happen to you. Please don't do that. Or if you're on them, get off them. And here's the reason. Drink Kangen water first, and that will help you. Some people don't find total relief from that. Here's what I would do, and here's the reason I would do it. Most people who suffer from acid reflux don't have too much acid in their stomach. So the precept for that is wrong to begin with. But it's all doctors have. Somebody told them that, and they just believed it. It's not true at all. Most people who have acid reflux don't have enough acid in their stomach. And as a result, the food won't digest. It starts to rot in their stomach. And so what acid there is starts to bubble and boil up in the fermentation process. That's acid reflux. So you know what the solution for acid reflux is? Outside of Kangen water, more acid. Doctors just flip. They just flip. Because the stomach does need acid to perform. The Kangen water goes in and through, out, gone. I proved that. Of course, I'm a researcher. It's what I do. When I was a little kid, we would drink Kool-Aid and stuff. We'd come in from playing baseball or something and just guzzle 24 ounces of something. And of course, you feel it sloshing around in there, for a long time because it doesn't leave the stomach right away. Kangen water, that's what I did. I drank about that much, and in 5 minutes I started jumping up and down. There's no sloshing. It's gone. Zip, bang, boom. There's no time for it to sit in there because remember all the things we said about it. It moves immediately. It gets into the cells. I believe that it starts to get in your cells in your mouth when you drink it, in your throat as it goes down, and then it moves through that stomach like lightning. There's no time to neutralize stomach acid. And besides, water is basically the only thing that needs no digestion at all. Condition your stomach. Drink the Kangen water. It's in and out. It's not affecting your acid. We have acid and alkaline buffers too that will pick up for that in our bodies. But that's another story. But don't worry about Kangen water neutralizing your stomach acid, so you shouldn't drink it. Actually, if you got acid reflux, you should be drinking it. You need to restore those proton pumps in your stomach so they're actually producing acid again. And they will do that. I take, if I had that, if I ever had acid reflux, and I have had it in my life, I would take betaine hydrochloride, HCl. That's hydrochloric acid. Tell a doctor you're taking hydrochloric acid for your acid reflux. You'd probably keel over and die. But it works. It absolutely works. So the point of all of this is the Kangen water, to me, is very restorative to the human body in all aspects because of these things that we talked about. It helps to strengthen the human immune system and restore it, because our immune systems, when we are sick, and especially with cancer patients, are on their lips, so to speak. We get patients that come in and their immune systems are shot because they've undergone too much chemo, too much radiation, too much surgery. They have no immune systems left. We can't even help them at that point. We try. We give everyone hope. We talk about hope, and we produce hope, because without hope, the people perish. They really do. We need hope, and that's what we give to people. But the Kangen water will restore. It won't heal anything. We don't say that. But it will bring the body back into homeostasis over time. It will bring down that inflammation. Remember, inflammation is disease. It's acidity. You need to get rid of that. And that's what it does. So that is the other thing I talked about earlier. If I was told I had cancer, stage 4, 90 days to live, what are the top 2 things I would do? I would drink Kangen water, and I would take the Relive products for the food, and I would bet you that I could live a long, long time on 2 of those. There's other things that I would do. We don't have a whole lot of time, but I would take vitamin D3, but I wouldn't buy it at a store because most of those are junk. I would and I do take blue ice fermented cod liver oil, the last best cod liver oil in the world. Or I'd get out in the sun. When you're out in the sun, the UVB rays from the sun combine with the cholesterol in your skin, and they make vitamin D3, cholecalciferol. If you've ever been out in the sun for, say, an hour or so with nothing on your skin, when you go back inside, if you look real closely, when you're young, you can see it better. Otherwise, put on your glasses or get a magnifying glass. You can see there's a little film of white powder on your skin. It's hard to see. And that is your body making the vitamin D3 with the cholesterol and the UVB rays. Oh, that deadly cholesterol. It just does another good thing for us, by making that vitamin D3. So I would take turmeric. Anti-cancer and nutritious foods on the face of the earth is the curcumin and the turmeric. Well, turmeric has many good things called polyphenols and other things in it. Curcumin is the one that is known. It's 5% of the turmeric, the real active ingredient in there. We know of people, there's been literally thousands of studies done on turmeric. No one can refute the benefits of turmeric. Now, when you add oils, special oils to turmeric, you can make it 10 times more effective and 10 times more bioavailable in the body. Wouldn't you want to do that? Your body has a tendency, your liver anyway, to fight turmeric a little bit. So by adding oils to it, it makes it more nutritive for you. And if you add a little piperine, most people haven't heard of that. It's 5% of black pepper. It's called piperine. It's the active ingredient, and it gives it the pungent smell of black pepper. If you add black pepper, then you can basically increase the effectiveness and bioavailability by 1,000 times. And you don't have to add a lot. This is the Ucan from Enagic. It's the other product they produce, and it's phenomenal. You can get the history from an Enagic person here about how this is produced on Okinawa with the spring and the fall turmerics, I believe, using the Kangen water. Truly an amazing product that has 3 or 4 oils added to it to give it that 10% more bioavailability. When I take this, I'll take a little black pepper in my food or something, and that will increase it even.